Today I fucked up by hitting on the cashier while buying condoms. So tonight I clocked out of work and was on my way to a friend's house. Before leaving, he texted me to ask if I could stop at the store and grab a pack of condoms for him, as he was already drinking at the house with his girlfriend. I told him no problem and stopped at a local drugstore. On my way in I walk by the cashier who asks me if I need help finding anything. I tell her no, I know what I'm looking for. She says okay and then compliments my shirt. My work has a dress code, so I was dressed in like semi-formal clothing. We make flirty small talk for a minute and then I proceed down the aisle to grab what I need. I walk back up to the front of the store and slap the condoms on the counter in front of the girl. Now, it's not even like I was buying a bunch of items with a pack of condoms slipped in there. No, I present a fat shiny pack of Trojan bearskin condoms for this cashier to scan and bag for me with nothing else. Without realizing the awkward situation, I continue our conversation from before and decide to compliment her back. She has parts of her hair dyed purple, so I tell her that I really like it and think it looks very good on her. Her eyes, which were locked on my pack of thinnest money can buy rubbers, shoot up to give me a look that I would describe as a gaze you would give someone who just ran over your dog. At this point, I still do not realize how this looks and ask her if she is from around the area. She hands me my receipt and responds only with "have a good night." I look down at the condoms, back at her, then it hits me. I can feel my face turn bright red as I realize this girl most definitely thinks I am hitting on her while on my way to probably have sex with someone else. Instead of trying to explain the situation, I quickly say the same to her and rush out the door in my dinner date ready attire. Me and my buddy had a good laugh about it afterwards. In my defense, I was super burnt out from working a 12-hour shift lol. I know this story isn't nearly as great as what gets posted here daily, but I just wanted to share it with you guys anyway. Too long didn't read. I was at the store buying condoms for a friend. Ended up hitting on the cute female cashier while doing so, which resulted in me feeling extremely awkward and creepy. Edit. Wow. I was not expecting this to blow up like this. Thank you all so much for the awards, the love, and the hilarious comments. I used to work the graveyard shift in a small store. On Saturday night, girl comes is dressed up for a night out, and looks across the counter to where the razor blades, batteries and condoms were kept, then asks how many were in the boxes of condoms. 12 I tell her. Nah, forget it then, too many, someone didn't get lucky that evening. A man can buy condoms for future sex. Futuresex. She's just upset you weren't buying mags, man. Warning, you may not like hearing this, but, as a former cashier, I can report on the countless times I heard the female cashiers in the break room mocking the men who purchase the Magnum condoms, and how they assume that they will be falling off inside the guy's partner, and thus defeat the purpose of wearing the things. Never heard anyone mock someone for any other condom choice. Always just how deluded and sad they felt it was for a guy purchase the Magnums, and their personal experience with the partners who they have had who pulled out the Magnums had been their partners least likely to need a larger one. So, just so you know, the stereotype with the Magnums is the same as with driving a huge truck, that they should prepare for disappointment if a guy buys them. Here, I've got you covered for next time. Sorry for the confusion. These condoms aren't for sex, they're for a water balloon fight. Not sure explaining the situation would have been much better. Not sure you could have explained that you're buying them for a friend and you know his preferred brand and style, and still managed to stay light and flirty. You're a good friend for helping a buddy out. Best he could have done is maybe quickly say, I know what this looks like and well, it's not that, yeah, anyway. Then thank her and wish her good night. Admit that you painted a bad picture and that you understand the situation, then leave. Can't fix that one on the spot, but maybe at least leave room for sincerity. Today I fucked up by eating 2 apples a day for 3 months. 4 months ago I had a very severe stomach flu, with which I struggled for almost 4 weeks. Because of the nausea and constant diarrhea, I only ate very low-fiber bland food for 4 weeks. In that time I had lost over 10 kilograms, 22 pounds. It wasn't COVID. Blood and stool tests did not reveal anything unusual. In the end, the only thing that could be determined was that I have a mild folic acid deficiency, which was most likely related to my unbalanced diet. When my symptoms finally got better after 4 weeks, I started eating more and incorporating more food into my daily diet. Here comes my fuck up. To eat healthier and get more fiber, I started to eat oatmeal with fruit, bananas, apples, berries, once or twice daily. It seemed to work well, as my weight slowly but steadily went back up over the next few weeks. I regained 6 kilograms, 13 pounds, in 3 months. However, my nausea never completely went away during that time and my shits were always somewhat soft and sticky. I even bought a bidet especially for this reason, so that I could clean myself properly. Which BTW was an excellent decision regardless of those problems. I kept detailed notes of everything I ate, but I couldn't see a pattern of when I felt especially nauseous or when my stool was particularly soft and sticky again. Last week I stocked up on fruit and later ate the usual oatmeal with fruit. This time however, after breakfast I had a funny feeling in my throat. Nothing major, just a little off. I dismissed it and it disappeared after 2 to 3 hours. In the evening when I ate oatmeal with fruit again, the feeling came back, but was a little weaker. I dismissed it again and went to sleep. The next day I couldn't sleep in because I had an extremely queasy feeling in my stomach. It felt like it was on fire. And shortly after came the diarrhea. I was feeling defeated because after 3 months I was still eating very carefully and the problems still wouldn't go away. Besides the diarrhea I also didn't feel so good in general. I had higher blood pressure, something I usually don't have, and also my body temperature was raised slightly. I went to see the doctor again and while talking to him suddenly I remembered something he told me in our very first conversation. Maybe you have some cross allergy with your hay fever. I thought about it at the time, but couldn't see a pattern. Now, though, with my steady apple consumption, things looked different. I matched my food diary with my grocery bills, which showed the apple variety. And lo and behold, depending on the type of apple, my symptoms got a little better or a little worse. And the last time I bought fruit, I also got a new, excellent tasting variety of apple, which I have never had before. Could it be so simple? As it turns out, yes. I was a dumbass. I left out apples from my diet these past couple of days and my digestion went back to normal pretty much instantly, which didn't happen in the last 4 months. No nausea, no diarrhea, no sticky shits, no gas. I also sleep much better, can concentrate better and feel better in general. So as it turns out, I seem to have a cross allergy to apples and kept eating at least 2 apples daily for 3 months. 1 apple a day does not always keep the doctor away and too many apples a day might land you in the hospital if you're not careful. Too long didn't read. As it turns out, eating 2 apples a day is a bad idea if your doctor already suspects cross allergy at the onset of gastrointestinal problems. Edit, because the question came up a couple of times. Why did you keep eating the same stuff, when you had those kind of problems? Kept eating the same stuff, because I thought those were leftover problems from the stomach bug. Only when having the funny feeling in my throat and speaking to the doctor afterwards, it occurred to me, that I might be actively contributing to the problems. It was also not that black and white. The culprit in the whole story was that I seemingly always ate the same thing, but the problems were not always equally pronounced. Depending on the type of apple, there were differences and I only noticed that fact at the end. You're shitting on yourself for not realizing it earlier, but I'd say this is a magnificent instance of you thinking critically. Recalling information from a prior first convo and connecting that to reasoning about your Apple purchasing habits shows a degree of reflexivity I don't think many people would have considered, ESP, when relying on a specialist's advice. An apple a day will make you get a bidet. This is actually pretty good in terms of you tracking everything you eat. Most people wouldn't. Yeah, I was surprised when he called himself a dumbass for not noticing. I feel like most people would go years or maybe even their entire lives dealing with this because they weren't as diligent as up. Hey man, welcome to the club. I have a cross allergy with hay fever and some fruits too. Here are my findings so far, maybe they'll help you figure a few more things out. Smile. Green apples are worse than red apples. Pretty sure it has something to do with the acidity. Recently added bananas, kiwis, and fresh pineapple to the list. Cherries are by far the worst offender. For some science reason I don't fully understand, if any of these fruits are baked/cooked/otherwise processed, it's all fine. No reactions whatsoever. So pies are still on the menu. I also sometimes cut up an apple, add just a tiny bit of sugar and some cinnamon, then bake it in the oven. That way it's still possible to enjoy it without your throat, lips, and tongue itching. Smile. Good luck. In my case it's allergy due to protein PR10, with heat it's destroyed, but it causes swelling in the throat and difficulty breathing. Maybe it's something similar. Edit, I read now Vichy tongue and I have the same, so maybe we have the same problem. But I have no problems with stomachache or diarrhea. TLDR, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. 2 apples a day is fatal. RIP op. Today I fucked up by accidentally creating a scenario parents warn their daughters about. This happened about 2 years ago. My son was about 6 months old, and we're working on sleep training. This night, my wife is exhausted and not coping with little one's reluctance to sleep. So I decide to take him for a drive, give mum some rest, and he'll sleep in the car. It's probably around 11 p.m. at this point. I decide to drive through a national park close to our home. Inside the park there's only one road in and out, no artificial lighting, even moonlight doesn't penetrate well below the tree canopy, and no phone signal throughout. Not many vehicles travel through at night. It's the place where people can go missing and it could take days to find them. Driving through the park, son is asleep. A dog runs towards the car and I manage to stop in time. Car is stopped in the middle of the lane, hazard lights are on, and the dog has disappeared from my view. Open the door, and dog tries to jump in the car. I grab it by the collar to stop it. I surmise the dog is domesticated, and has been left behind accidentally. Hence it running toward the first car it saw. So I'm not letting this strange dog into my car with my sleeping baby. I don't have a lead to tie the dog down with, or a cargo barrier to restrain it. Not happening. Similarly, I'm not keen on abandoning it again as it'll probably die. Whilst I'm trying to figure out what to do, a car arrives in the opposite direction. I'm pretty sleep deprived myself and not really thinking clearly. The scene is now, my car stopped in one lane, me crouching in the other lane holding a dog by the collar which is struggling against me, effectively blocking both lanes of traffic on a stretch of road that's not easy to turn around. It's pitch black outside the headlights. I'm now yelling at this car to come to me. I get no response. So I'm gesturing vividly, come here. This goes on for about 10 minutes. I'm getting frustrated, I'm not getting a response, thinking why won't they help me? The dog's getting agitated too, maybe because I wouldn't let it into my car. The driver of the other vehicle appears. She's a late teens, early 20s woman who's driving alone. For some reason I keep yelling at her to come closer to me, remember sleep deprived, and she rightfully refuses. This goes on for another 5 to 10 minutes before she yells back, what do you want? My brain finally reacts enough to tell her I wanted her to take the dog to a shelter, as I've got a baby in my car and didn't want to risk it with a strange dog. She asks me to bring the dog to her. As I get closer I notice she's holding a knife. For some reason this doesn't appear odd at all. She opens the back door and I lead the dog into her car. Pause for a second to grumble thank you, then get back into my car, briefly check on the little guy, and continue on. It didn't occur to me until the next day that I must have scared the crap out of her. Enough that she found a knife to defend herself if needed. A bearded guy, wearing a singlet showing tattoos, holding a dog back as it struggles, yelling at her to come to me, blocking both lanes of traffic in the middle of the night, in a place where she couldn't have called for help if she wanted to. Could have handled that a lot better. Edit, to clarify, a singlet is a sleeveless top, not a wrestling outfit. Thanks for the silver and other awards. Too long didn't read, accidentally scared the crap out of a young woman by blocking her vehicle, in a dark forest, with no phone reception, holding an aggressive looking dog, to the point where she retrieved a knife to defend herself.